Ready?
Deep breath.
Okay, here we go. Loren's topic will be, if you had to live off the grid, how would you prepare? Good luck.
Yeah. Well, that was the hardest one that could be chosen, but it's one I'm very interested in. So I appreciate you including me in the discussion on if I had to live off the grid. The function, the pattern that you'll see throughout this speech hopefully is, cause and effect. Each one of the 5 I chose had a different pattern that I had to find, whether like past, present, future, cause and effect. So I've researched, I'm one of those doomsday prepper show watchers and all of those genre. I don't know how many of you are. Raise your hand so I know I'm not alone. Okay, a few. I think this was reinforced to me last night when I came home from work and my husband had this television show on all about what's going on in the Middle East and comments being made by ISIS members right to the camera, we're coming to your country. And you hear a lot of talk about living off the grid for a whole bunch of reasons. One is they're just tired of paying taxes. Or 2, they're tired of being told what to do with their money or their time or their energy. And some just want the freedom to go and explore. How many watch Tiny Houses? I think probably a side group. Tiny houses is a big thing now. You prepare. Some people are using these 40-foot containers and revamping them and making them living spaces. They have to be a certain width and length in order to be able to tow behind a vehicle so you can go from place to place, so it lets you be mobile and you can go and visit various places, especially if you're on the run from ISIS, which I hope I am never in. One thing you really have to think about is, and I did speak to this a little bit back in emergency preparedness when I talked about bug out bags and being prepared. So I gave a whole bunch of reasons back then, but it wasn't World War III. But I think that if I wanted to go live off the grid, I would have to think of just a couple of items that I would have to have. First being water, which I did talk about in that previous speech, but for you who weren't there, you can carry your own water, which is very cumbersome because you need about 2 to 3 gallons a day per person for eating, cooking, bathing, drinking, staying hydrated. And then there's shelter, and then there's food. So I watched one of those doomsday prepper shows on where they're competing against other doomsday preppers about who's more prepared. And the one that I was so fascinated, and I love bunny rabbits just like everybody else does, and I owned rabbits, but rabbits are the most efficient animal that God placed on this earth for our use in case of hard times. One, they multiply rapidly. You can have one, they call them a buck, believe it or not, for a rabbit, and say 3 wives. And within months, you can have a couple dozen rabbits. So you can very quickly multiply these rabbits and have food to sustain your family. In addition to that, they provide fur. You can make clothing out of the fur once you've, taken care of preparing them to eat. Secondly, there's a process that you can use to clean their own urine so that you can water the grass, which is actually the excrement, their manure you put in a pile, and it will ultimately grow food for them to eat. So there's this whole cycle of life that goes on with a rabbit that they can do all by themselves. Well, a little help with the urine straining to where it becomes pure water again to feed it. So those are some things that I think about when going off the grid. The biggest thing I think about is, how do I earn a living? Secondly, where am I going to go? And if you watch some of these shows, you see that a lot of them are going up north. They're heading towards the northern parts of the United States. And a lot of people who are living off the grid form their own communities. And I kind of like that idea. I feel like on my block, I maybe know 2 or 3 neighbors right around me. It's not like back in the 70s when I was growing up, where you knew every single family on your block. I like the idea of kind of living off the grid in an atmosphere where there's people that think alike and we're all helping each other grow. And if one person doesn't grow enough of what they're growing for food, you can help them with your supply of food, and the same with water as well. So I think my contribution to this conversation of living off the grid would be that I think that it is a solid alternative to regular lifestyle living. And I think it's something that we all could explore a little further, just in case. Thank you, Madam Professor.